There are specific, distinct tattoos for which you have to be responsible. These are, well, shoulder straps of various kinds, stars, and some tattoos with religious themes. Hi, my name is Artem. I am a tattoo artist. I've been an ink slinger at a prison camp for a total of probably 10 years. There are several origins of tattooing as a whole. That is, respectively, the criminal world, and probably also the military. That is, well, sailors of various kinds, and so forth. I want to say that the prison left its mark. The prison tattoo has its own philosophy. The first time was in 2004. I was sentenced to 5 years in prison for weed. Well, yeah, I had some tattoos that I actually did in school with my friends, and so on. Well, I was sure I didn't have any tattoos that I could be held accountable for. I didn't have so-called prison tattoos. The first type of tattoo, obviously done in prison or with some kind of prison motive, is the ring. They show what the person was in prison for, or for example, how many times he was in jail. In other words, the rings may carry lots of different information. They come in all kinds of shapes and sizes. This is the kind of thing that can't be hidden. It's done on the hand, and you understand that if you see the person with the rings, you know exactly where he made them. This one means that the person went through the camp. It's a ring that is easy and simple to draw. In fact, these are the tattoos that decent prisoners get in prison, the ones who adhere to the prison life, the prison thief idea, and everything else. This is a person who basically denies authority. Well, that's really the kind of thing that may have different meanings for different people. Today, the tattoo in prison has become, as I said, artistic in nature. That is, the tattooist is not just a person who stated that he knows how to make tattoos, though took a machine for the first time in his life. If he makes someone an ink blot, well, he won't like the consequences. At least, he will just get his face smashed. I was good at drawing. That's a great advantage. Accordingly, if a person knows how to draw, he is immediately offered to do tattoos. Well, at that time I had some kind of experience in the yard. That's pretty much it. Well, the guy said, "Look, if you can do tattoos and basically understood how to do it, why don't we make you a machine? You can do a tattoo for me." Well, I don't really care how you do it. I mean, without any complaints. We somewhere found a light bulb. It was half dark in there, with some kind of machine made of old motor and some kind of string. Anyway, I just remember what kind of power supply I had. Well, the machine runs on 12 volts, and we had the outlet with 200 volts. We made some kind of jar. I mean, the guys did it. I didn't even know such ways at all. They poured some kind of salt water, put some nails in there, and regulated the distance between them. And damn. And this way, you get the right voltage. We got electrocuted there, like 100 times. Well, with difficulty. I made him a tattoo. In general, he liked it. I liked it. Anyway, they saw it, and others liked it too. And they said to me, "Listen, why are you doing this shit? If you are good at tattoos, well, do it." Abbreviations are very important, and there are a lot of them too. For example, LORD, SLON. LORD means own children will take their revenge on the cops. I mean, these are all denial tattoos, which people put on to show their attitude to the authorities. As for shoulder straps, I'm going to sketch everything. This is a shoulder strap. Here may be a German eagle. In general, the prison tattoo has a German or fascist theme, though it doesn't have a fascist essence. In other words, it's a denial tattoo. It's from the time when we defeated fascist Germany, and they used to put them in prison because they were probably used to pissing off the guards. After all, it's an act of defiance against the Soviet authorities. The same story is about tattoos that have a religious character. Communism prohibited any religion, i.e., took away people's icons, took away Bibles. So people put these things on their bodies. The classic prison tattoo is domes. There are even songs about them. Well, the church with domes is widely known. Everybody knows that the domes are the years of imprisonment. There are also such epaulets with shoulder straps, namely hussar epaulets. These are the tattoos for people who pass the barrack of the reinforced regimen. Well, roughly speaking, it's a prison inside a prison. Schematically, that is an epaulet, a regular, most ordinary one, and tassels in all directions from it. As a rule, it's put on the shoulder. You know, there's such a story. There were prisoners who, in the case of any mess, were subjected to liquidation, and, well, they were all taken out into the yard, and the hussar unit was ordered to shoot them. The hussars refused, saying that they were not executioners and that they wouldn't shoot people. In honor of that, the hussar shoulder straps became what you might call an authoritative tattoo in prison. Every prison has an industrial zone. I mean, it's a factory. Accordingly, you can find some kind of motor there. It can be an ordinary motor from a tape recorder. That means, basically, any somehow working motor for 12 to 9 volts is 100% suitable. Also, you need some kind of string. If there is no string, you can disassemble the pin and take a spring out of it. In general, the machine is made, roughly speaking, from improvised means. I made myself such a machine, and then I went and got some rubber. You have to burn it and get the ashes. This ash is rubbed through a rag, and then diluted with water or furacilin, so it wouldn't be so dirty. So, that's how you do it. This is what you make a tattoo with. It gets all red and inflamed. I mean, you put dirt on a person's tattoo, and that's why it turns blue afterward. Sometimes it is more or less fine in color and the perception of it by the body. As a rule, it turns out to be terrible. I remember it all now, and frankly, it's even funny to me. When I was freed from the camp for the first time, I started tattooing professionally. I mean, I started doing tattoos after taking some courses in Russia. Then I came here and reached a certain level with practice. When I was in prison for the second time in 2014, I was a professional tattooist at that time. Basically, a tattoo initially bears the character of designating. In fact, it designates the article. For example, a knife with a skull means that the person is or was in prison for murder. Fraudsters, as a rule, make various cats in cylinders. With bow ties and pince-nez, they look like retro cats wearing vests. Well, that's cool. I like these tattoos. They're cute, especially the ones with hats. One more type of tattoo is called mess. That's a cool trend in tattoos. Well, it's literally just a mess. As a rule, such a tattoo is made on the arm or on the leg. I mean, it's big, bulky, and consists of many images. Those who are connected with drugs, those who are in jail for drugs, make tattoos with poppy heads. Well, the buds. Also, it can be cannabis leaves or syringes. If we refer to the past, any tattoo on the face was usually made by force. I mean, it could be even a small dot. Sometimes they could just write fucker on the forehead. They could have written anything, or they could make tears. Well, nobody does that forcibly nowadays. Maybe they can do to the particularly bad prisoners. Well, these are really fallen people. For example, those who are in prison for raping or murdering children. Such people are treated very harshly. And, as a rule, they can be forced even nowadays. They get such tattoos on their foreheads, so other people can see them and understand exactly who it is. A self-respecting tattoo artist wouldn't make a tattoo that applies to decent prisoners for a jerk, so to speak. I mean, it's the negation. In other words, talking about epaulets, I would never make a tattoo for someone who is entangled with cops, with guards, with operatives. I wouldn't do it. A tattoo is an integral part of prison folklore, by any means. If you get tattoos, that is, you're treated with respect. But back to today. It's a kind of business. Making tattoos is a good way to earn money. For example, to tattoo a back in prison cost approximately $100 to $200 in the equivalent of cigarettes. A tattoo on the hand also cost about $100 to $200. Some minimal tattoos might be estimated as a block, or 2 or 3 of cigarettes. Well, that are the most necessary things in prison. Everything goes through the trustees. You have to pay a tithe for any of your business or entrepreneurship, if we speak in plain language, and at the same time, you get protection. Some bull could come in there, ask for a tattoo, and then say, "Hey look, I'm not giving you anything." Well, there's, like, a group of people for that, which respects the interest of the relationship of the convicts. This is probably the worst crime inside prison. That is, to be a tattooist in prison is to agree to go to isolation cells all the time. Roughly speaking, you're locked in a closet with a hole in the corner to pee in. You can't sleep there. You can't do anything. I mean, they leave you in a bunk only for the night. Basically, there is nothing, even mattresses. It's cold or hot there. In the summer, it's hot and stuffy. In winter, it is cold and you have to cuddle with the radiator. Once a month I had to go there. I had conversations with the head of the colony who would say, "Hey you, huh? What am I going to do anyway? The only thing I can do is tattoos." I say, in America, we'd have a tattoo parlor where everything would be sterile. I would do these tattoos for people and everyone would be happy. Still, what's the use of catching me? I will come back and finish the work. Everything is based on money in prisons. That is, I had a professional machine there. I had professional needles. I had professional paints. They sent me a parcel and brought this closed parcel to the cell. Usually, it's received through the post, where it is double-checked 10 times. They brought it closed to the cell. When I opened it in front of the person who helped me, he looked at it and said, "Hey, we'll be in trouble if somebody finds out." And so I worked for a while with professional equipment. I mean, you can make a deal and do a little bit of work. That is called to work green. Well, kind of freely. If you don't have those, you go to the isolation cell. Anyway, all the time they start asking for more, demanding something from you. Eventually you say, "Screw you," and go to the isolation cell. Win rows, or the so-called stars, are such hallmarks of people who really live the prison life. Well, even children here know that the stars on their knees mean that they would never kneel down in front of the cops. The denialist stars are regular win roses. I mean, prisoners have to match it, or as they say, never give up. And if he turns his back on his notions, well, I think that, at best, he will become a laughingstock for the other prisoners. That's what we have here, and I know that. For example, in Russia, there are hard camps, or so-called black camps. In other words, those are jails where the power belongs to the prisoners. And there, well, I don't know what they can do to him. At best, they may give him a brick and say, erase it. That's the best scenario. I mean, at the worst, some inmates who were affected by some interest could stab him there. As for Thieves' stars, in fact, a Thieves' star is just an 8-pointed star. The Thief's star can only be tattooed by a thief. The history of all these tattoos is quite confusing, and probably already distorted by time. As one person told me, there is an army of angels in religion, and they have a leader. He had a sword in one hand, and this star in the other hand. The fact that it is pointed says that the people who lead the life of thieves are always on the edge. Accordingly, white and black mean good and evil. The stylistics and the trend of tattooing are overflowing into freedom. People are no longer doing it to reflect some kind of criminal essence, but rather, they are doing it in an artistic way. First of all, if youngsters want to tattoo themselves some kind of prison folklore, the first thing to think about is that these tattoos should be less obvious. Otherwise, some drunken Khan, an old prisoner who had left all his teeth in there, can just punch him in the face. That's very easy to cause a reaction in people who were jailed. But I also want to say that, man, well, this style should exist, and it should develop. There are different tattoos. If you look at it carefully, we make different dragons and other Japanese images. The tattoo style went from the Yakuza. Well, it was done by the mafiosi, and this tattoo had a very serious criminal meaning. However, we make it as an artistic tattoo. Another tattoo that is worth mentioning, for instance, is the Chicano. It's a tattoo that Latinos used to make for themselves. This tattoo bears an exclusively criminal character. Somehow, we make them and don't give them any criminal meaning. In the same way, we can develop our style. We have our own trend that is exactly ours. It's free, without any prejudices. Personally, I hope that this style, this direction, will come here and won't die out, even if its semantic load won't be the same, because, man, it's a huge block of tattoo art that has to exist. All these tattoos are signs of freedom, unequivocally.